Hi everyone, happy St. Patrick's Day if you're marking it. We're actually in the early hours of the 18th, but got Guinness here. Um, there's been a number of news events today, and I could have been speaking about any one of them. Uh, the government's welfare bill, the controversial welfare bill, which is including cuts to some of the most vulnerable. I've been very vocal about that. I am very disappointed with Labour's direction on this. I think it's cynical. I think it's wrong. I think they're pandering to the red top press. Um, there was a disaster in North Macedonia, nightclub fire, 59 people killed. It's a small country, so obviously that sort of disaster is going to have a big impact on that society. It had come, I understand, from a lighting system, which I recall a few years ago there was a fire at a wedding in Iraq. Was a similar cause of that tragedy. Um, there's a lot of other stuff going on. The new Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, who's taken a very tough line on Trump's tariffs, I'm pleased to say, visited the King today and Sir Keir Starmer. I think we should absolutely support Canada if this escalates. See what happens with that. Um, Marco Rubio was in Canada. I may make another video about this, but the incredible arrogance that we're seeing from the Americans these days, by which I mean the current administration. For Rubio to actually double down on Trump's claims for Canada to be the 51st state on Canadian soil, I think Rubio should have been removed for that. The way they forced Zelensky to leave, I think the Canadians should have told Rubio, Mr. Secretary of State, please leave our country right now. You're not welcome here. I think that would have been appropriate. Yeah, so there's all of that, but I'm going to speak about one particular thing, which I think is just a little bit of an indictment of the times that we're in. And I don't want this to be too cynical because there's a lot of good out there, there's a lot of decent people out there, and there's good leaders in this world as well. But it is an indictment of the times that we're in. St. Patrick's Day in the White House, you would think that, someone of some sort of worthy acclaim would be there. So Donald Trump, the worst president in American history, invites the biggest scumbag in sports at the moment, in my opinion, Conor McGregor. The Taoiseach Michael Martin was there today as well, and he got the usual Trump treatment, disrespect. Um, yeah. Anyway, McGregor got into a rant about immigration issues in Ireland, and I just think this is incredible because the people who support Conor McGregor, their attitude is, oh, he tells the truth. It's everything he said is accurate. The point I would make to them is this isn't really about the immigration issue in the sense that, I mean, if you want someone to talk about that, what sort of message do you want? The issue for me is that Conor McGregor is a rapist. Conor McGregor is a bully boy thug. I think he's one of the most contemptible people in public life. And I think that it's a disgrace that Dana White and the MMA continue to give him opportunities in that sport. He's already one of the highest paid athletes in the world. Um, just to be clear, in a civil case, Nikita Hand won her allegations of rape against McGregor. So by definition, in a court of law, Conor McGregor is a rapist. That's the reality. And even if you want to put question marks on that, look at his record. This is a guy with a long criminal record. This is a man who assaulted an older man in a pub. Why? Because the guy refused to drink his trademark whiskey. Conor McGregor is a despicable figure. I think he's basically just a bad person. I struggle to see anything good about him. I'm not sure if he even does much charity work. Maybe he does. But even if that were the case, does it cover his predatory history against women? On previous occasions, women who made allegations against him have been one had a car bombed, Nikita Hand had her house attacked by mass thugs. Even if McGregor didn't personally order them to do it, if he was any sort of decent human being, he would have condemned it. He didn't do that. I think it's a sad situation that instead of being behind bars where he should be, Conor McGregor gets to go into offices of power. Although that's not a very high bar considering Donald Trump has completely degraded the American presidency. I mean, really, what we saw today was two criminals in the Oval Office. But on the issue of immigration, I'm not some sort of bleeding heart lefty. I do think that there are legitimate concerns. Okay. I think that there are legitimate concerns in the UK, in Ireland, in other European countries. Um, there are people who are getting into Ireland who shouldn't be there. Okay, so I'm not approaching this with a sort of naive lefty utopianism, that sort of thing. But what I just find ironic is that people are holding up a criminal like Conor McGregor to be some sort of spokesperson for this. Do you really think that a rapist is the right person to speak for you on issues of immigration? And the irony, of course, is they'd be talking about potentially rapists among illegal migrants. Well, my question is, why is it that an Irish rapist is okay, but an immigrant rapist is bad? If you're any sort of decent human being, you would see all rapists as bad. I think I think foreign offenders absolutely should be kicked out of the country that they're in. I've no problem with that. But it sickens me that someone like Conor McGregor is held up. The guy's a scumbag. Is there any redeeming feature about him at all? He has skills as an athlete, but as a human being, he's a zero. He's an awful person. This is someone who uses his fame and wealth and power not to do good in the world, but to push people around. He literally throws his weight around, and I do believe that his celebrity has protected him from justice. It's It's a disgrace that the Irish justice system has allowed this rapist to walk free. If this was a fair world, Conor McGregor would be serving a prison sentence, not just for his latest rape, but his long line of criminal offences. You know, dangerous driving, assault, affray, predatory behaviour. The guy is a lowlife. And it saddens me that a lot of young men look up to him. Not just young men, some older guys as well around my age. I mean, it says a lot about you if you admire someone like Conor McGregor. It really does. Um, I just hope one day that his fame and fortune falls down in an absolute hurdle, and I hope he fades into obscurity. Um, I mean, I just think he's a bad person. He's a thoroughly bad person, and I think it's a sad thing that we see someone like McGregor being glorified, not by civilized people, by idiots and the morally bankrupt, but you know, if you're angry about the immigration issue, that's fine. I'm not questioning that, but I am questioning you if you're angry about that and you're holding up someone like McGregor, your spokesperson. You know, you say that you're against crime, you say that you're against illegal immigration, yet you hold up a criminal to be your spokesperson. McGregor's an embarrassment to Ireland. There's a lot of very worthy Irish men and women out there who deserve a lot more credit than Conor McGregor. In fact, I will name one. Today, um, John Paddy Hemingway, Paddy was his nickname, passed away, 105 years old. He was the last known Battle of Britain survivor. That's a hero. That is a hero. This glorified thug, Conor McGregor, is not a hero. This glorified thug, Conor McGregor, is is one of the most despicable people, like I say, in public life. I can think of a few other sports people right now that are as contemptible as he is. I just can't think of any redeeming features whatsoever. And it's a sad thing that his children will have to grow up and one day realise who their father is, unless, of course, they turn out like him. So it's a sad thing, but I just wanted to put it out there. I've no doubt that I'll be trolled by McGregor fanboys and fangirls. Let them come. I have no respect for them anyway. I don't value their opinions. I almost feel sorry for people whose bar is so low that they hold up someone like McGregor as a hero. My heroes are human rights activists. My heroes are genuinely brave people who risk their life, their liberty to do the right thing. I look up to people like Volodymyr Zelensky. I look up to people like humanitarian aid workers in Gaza, in Sudan, and the DRC. Most of them are anonymous. Those are people who deserve a lot more acclaim than Conor McGregor. And I suppose there's a double-edged sword in that talking about him gives him more attention, but it is what it is. He's famous. That just is the reality. So long as he is, there has to be. I believe in putting it out there. What I think of him, but I find that his fans are knuckle draggers. I mean, the people who attacked Nikita Han's house, like I say, they may not have been ordered by McGregor to do it. They probably acted out of their own, um, you know, dead pool of non-existent brains itself. But the fact that people would be so galvanized to violently attack a woman's house because she dared to stand up to someone like this, it's really telling. I think it's fair to say that you could judge a public figure by the people who follow them to some extent. You know, McGregor's a bad person, and I find that the people who follow him are not very decent people. Um, yeah, so happy St. Patrick's Day. But I would say decent Irish people should. I'm not saying you have to take a left wing stance on immigration. By all means, there's concerns around this for sure. Um, but for goodness sake, don't embarrass yourselves by holding up rapist bully boy Conor McGregor as your spokesperson. What we saw today in the White House wasn't something to be proud of. There's another point to it, and I'll close with this. Up to 40 million Americans. Um, the figures vary, but it's certainly a much bigger figure than Ireland proper. Trace the roots to Irish ancestry for obvious reasons, for history, and Gore to Moore, and the mass immigration of the late 19th century. Now, people might say, oh, but McGregor was only talking about legal immigration, but do you really think he differentiates? I don't think he does. And it's just pretty hypocritical. You know, when so many of his would-be compatriots were immigrants, and they faced native sentiments, they faced nativist sentiments, so it's just a bit ironic for someone like McGregor now to be railing against immigrants. I just think that if anyone should have some empathy and understanding to immigrants, it should be the Irish. And I'm not saying it should be a dewy-eyed, naive thing about just let everyone in. I'm not saying that for a second, but there are legitimate people who are not criminals who are just trying to get a better life. And a small country like Ireland can't support everyone. I totally appreciate that. But unfortunately, McGregor fanboys and fangirls, I don't actually think they're the majority of Ireland, but they're very vocal. You know, it's interesting how stupid people can be so confident. But yeah, I find it depressing that Conor McGregor has such prestige and he continues profiting. Um, Dana White's a disgrace to allow him to profit within a sport. If Dana White had any integrity, he would say, "No, you're bad publicity. You're going to be stripped of your titles and suspended from this sport for so long as it is deemed appropriate." But White has no integrity, you know. Um, but what's most alarming of all is, I would say this is a form of toxic masculinity, and I'm no beta male, right? I believe in a man's man in the sense of someone who is an upstanding figure, okay? But what I do find depressing is a low life like McGregor is held up to be a man's man, and young men, not just in Ireland, around the world, do look up to him. I remember I had a young barber assistant a few years ago who mentioned him, and I didn't. I was slightly taken back at the time. At that time, I didn't really know who McGregor was, but When I found out, I thought that's a sad thing. The young men look up to this guy, someone who's a bully, who's a rapist, who's just a bad person. And unfortunately, he's galvanized, you know. Anyway, I'll leave it there, but I do hope I get under their skin. I have no respect for McGregor fanboys and fangirls. I think they're making fools of themselves. And I think if you support this man, you're saying a lot about your lack of integrity. I mean, what sort of person supports someone like Conor McGregor? That to me says it all.